to our 18th annual Hall of Fame banquet. It's, you know, seeing everybody down there during the social hour, it's kind of old home week for a lot of you. And the love and the feeling that you have for one another is just really super, so it's extremely fun. And you know, we have a great crowd this evening. I think it's, Jay Roy told me we have like 240 people here this evening, so it's quite a turnout, and it's a tribute to you and what you care about Augsburg College. We have a very, very full evening. We have 5 being inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening. We have 3 other special honorees that we've created this year that will be inducted. And we were to have 4 championship teams, but we had problems getting them together, so they will be recognized at a different time. So with no further ado, I'd like to call Mr. Dave Wold, our campus pastor, for the invocation. Dave?
No.
Thank you, Art. Let us pray. Oh God, on this wonderful evening of remembrance and reflection, we give you thanks. We celebrate and remember the gifts given us from your hand. Especially tonight, we rejoice in the ways that your children have used their gifts on the fields, the courts, the rinks, and the mats. We celebrate your love through the witness of Harold, Donna, Dick, Jim, Cheryl, Bob, Abner, and John. We thank and praise you for all of your blessings, knowing that what has been and is to come comes from you alone. Continue to instill in us values that are lasting and purposeful. In your name we pray.
Somebody said that, you know, once in a while I tell some Scandinavian stories, and I thought, well, maybe you might like this one. I heard this a little while back. It's a couple about Oldie and Lena. And Oldie and Lena they're driving out to California, and they're in the car driving along, and Lena says to Oldie, she says, you know, Oldie, she says, you must be getting pretty close to La Jolla. And Oldie said, yeah, well, let me check. I'll go into this filling station and see. So Oldie went into the filling station there, and he says, could you tell me if we're getting close to La Jolla? And the man says, well, yes, it's down here about 2 miles. You turn to the right and you run right into town. He says, by the way, out here, this is a Spanish origin, and the J's are pronounced with an H, so it's not La Jolla, it's La Jolla. Oh, well, thank you very much. He says, that would really be embarrassing, I suppose. And I said, well, what brings you and your wife out here? And he says, well, my company is going to transfer me out here. And he says, well, when are you going to come out here? Well, we'll come out here. Let's see, we're going to come out here in July. For starters, I would like, the last desserts are being served, so you can go right ahead and eat your dessert. But before we go, wasn't it a nifty meal? And let's give the staff out there a big hand. Serving 240-some people is not an easy job, so they've done a super job. You know, we're here this evening to honor the Hall of Fame. Athletics have been with us a long, long time at Augsburg College. The first men's program started in 1924. They had a few competitive teams at that time. Since that time, Augsburg has won the men's program. They've won 52 MIAC championships in 8 different sports. They've won 3 NAI championships in hockey. We've got 69 male All-Americans, various programs. This year, of course, we're very proud of our wrestling team, the job they did. They came in second in the nation. They won the MIAC. I think it's 14 out of the last 16 years. And done just a tremendous job. So Jeff and his people have done a super job. I think he had maybe 4 or 5 All-Americans on that particular team. They've got a theme talking about, I think it's knocking on the door. And so this year they're going to go through the door and be #1 in the nation. So we hope that they make it. The ladies got started a little bit later in athletics at Augsburg. Their first intercollegiate programs were not until 1972. And then they were admitted to the MIAC in 1981. Since that time, they have won 3 MIAC championships, and they've had 5 ladies who have inducted in, who've been All-Americans in various sports. Our most recent one with us is Carolyn Ross. I thought I saw her this evening. Anyway, Carolyn ran in the Olympic Festival this year. She was on the relay team, and she's working to get a berth on the 92 Olympic team, so we certainly wish her well. So with no further ado, I'd like to call on our athletic directors, Marilyn Florian, who's the women's athletic director, and Paul Brower, the men's, and they'll introduce their coaches and the captains of the team. Marilyn, let's start with you.
Welcome one.
On behalf of Women's Athletics, I'd like to offer congratulations to the Hall of Fame inductees and other honorees. We are proud to share this special occasion with you tonight. I'd like to introduce our coaching staff and the athletes present today, and I'll do so by asking each coach and athlete to stand as I read their names. First of all, from our soccer team, head coach Pam Schurz, assistant coaches Jenny Lillidahl and Kelly McGuire, and the representative from the soccer team, Amanda Hansen and Amy Ragland. The volleyball team, I am the head volleyball coach. My assistant coach is Bonnie Pearson, who is also my sister. And our captains are Kristen Dragset and Christy Svensson. Basketball, head coach Pam Schurz, assistant coaches Deb Zeman and Carol Enke, and representatives of the basketball team, Andy Haight and Jerry Newman. Softball, our head coach is Carol Enke. Our assistant coach is Beth Hackman, and softball representatives are Andy Haight and Julie Hansen. We have a new tennis coach this year. Her name is Bernadette McCann, and I don't believe she could come tonight because she had a shoulder injury yesterday. We have a representative from the tennis team, Tracy Comfort. And in track and field, head coach Paul Brower, assistant coach Carolyn Ross, and track and field representative Julie Steffen, and captain. There are also a few other people I'd like to introduce to you. This year, for the first time, we had a club sport golf team, and I'd like to introduce the coach of that team, Deb Balzer. Our athletic recruiting coordinator, who is Carolyn Ross. Our athletic trainer, Jay Broughton. And officially, I'm actually the acting women's athletic director, and I'd like to introduce to you our women's athletic director since 1972, who has been on leave the past couple of years, Joyce Papp. Again, congratulations to the Hall of Fame honorees, and especially to Cheryl and Donna. We would like to thank you for all of the work that you did to help include women in the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
On behalf of the Men's Athletic Department, I'd like to extend congratulations to the Hall of Fame inductees for this year. And it's my pleasure to introduce the men's athletic coaches and captains or representatives from the team. The baseball coach is here tonight, Ron Petrick. Would you stand up, Ron? In basketball, Ryan Ammon. And he has his two captains here tonight, Dave Carlson and Tim Tyson. In football, Coach Bill Hunstock, our head coach. Tom Kerr, Al Clappin, and Jeff Swenson, our other assistant coaches that are here, and Rick Joseph. Would they all please stand up? The tri-captains for the football team, Mark Rodine, Greg Schnagel, and Tony Priscello. Our golf coach, Brian M. In hockey, Mark Wick, our head coach, and the representatives from the hockey team, Tom Hansen, Jeff Nelson, and Thane Venix. Our soccer assistant coach, Ken Kozacchuk, and Ron Ragland, the captain this year. I'm the head track coach, Carolyn Ross. Assistant track coach, stand up again. And our two captains, Todd Simmon and Todd Huber. And wrestling, head coach Jeff Swenson, John Beatty, Donnie Wickman, and Scott Worley. And the captains, Kurt Habeck and Matt Kretlow. Again, congratulations to the inductees. Thank you very much.
Thank you, athletic directors, coaches, and players. It's super to have you with us this evening. You know, the Hall of Fame got started in 1973, and its purpose, of course, was to recognize those individuals who have made outstanding contribution to the school's athletic history, and we're very proud of them. Since its inception, we have inducted 85 members into the Hall of Fame. I think of those 85, I believe there's 17 that are deceased that we have. Last year was the first year that the ladies were admitted to the Hall of Fame. I believe there were 3 ladies last year, and we're having 2 this evening. What I would like to do, we have about 35 Hall of Famers with us this evening, and I would like to ask them to stand up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call your name. I'm calling them by when they were inducted into the Hall of Fame. When your name is called, please stand up, remain standing, and when we're all done, we'll give you a hand, okay, to speed this up. First and foremost, Oscar Hansen. Oscar? Dick Pouts? Dick? Ernie Anderson? Edor Nelson? Harold Grove? Norm Larson? White Messier? Kenny Schmidt? Gerald Pearson? Stan Nelson? Claire Strauman? Marguerite, come on, I went to school. Okay, Marguerite Dillon. Is she here? Dave Dillon's wife? I guess she was to be here. Okay, very good. Dan Anderson? Kelly Roth? J. Roy Carlson? Ed Saugestead? Jack Augsburg? Harold Album? Jim Cottom? Bert Sanford? Roger Lee? Charles Schultz? Steve Strumman? Dan Myers? Holly Pearson? Henry Chapman? Harvey Peterson? Lowell Zeman? Russ Hellickson? Herb Myrdal? Gerald Peterson? Dean Holmes? John Risky? Harold Hansen? I guess he didn't make it. Wes Bodine? Didn't hear? Okay, good. And then Mary Jane Wanis. Mary is here with us this evening. Let's give everyone a big hand. This year, for the first time, we have created a special award. It's a new dimension for us, and you know, every year we honor new athletes. We induct them into the Hall of Fame. We recognize those who have made great contributions. But what about those athletes who have played sports for us at Augsburg, but yet have not been in the Hall of Fame? But yet, outside of the collegiate level, they have made tremendous marks in athletics. And we have tonight 3 inductees as these special honorees for their contribution to athletics away from the collegiate level. So, Chuck Anderson, I'd like to call on you to do the honors.
I'd like to welcome you all, and this is marvelous. This is the official beginning of homecoming for people who are here all the time. Staff has been working for a long time to get ready, but when you all appear for the Hall of Fame dinner, that's really it. I'd like to tell you also, before I do the rest of my stuff, our enrollment last year was 2760. This fall it's 2,965. 1670 of those people are in day school. The rest are in either the weekend college or 93 in the graduate program. The school is larger now than it's ever been. I don't know if it's better than it's ever been. It's just larger. It's really good. I would like to have these people come up and stand by me as I read about them. And I'd like to begin by thanking Marilyn Corin and G. Roy for the research that has made it possible for me to have something to say this evening. They didn't want too many presidential gaffes, so they wrote it down. I read G. Roy's stuff. It's so colorful sometimes and expansive. I wonder if sometimes whether it's the same type of creative writing that I put together in my board reports, the board members here. At any rate, the people who are recognized will have a moment for rebuttal if they hear things that they don't understand or recognize. First of all, in this category of special awards, Abs from it, class 38. All right, come on, stand by me. Now, though Ab majored in history and minored in biology, he wanted to coach as well as teach for his life's work. He taught and coached at Morgan, Renville, and St. James, and then became full-time athletic director at St. James, and then Woodbury Cottage Grove, and this over a 45-year time span. Among his other accomplishments, we note his service as director of Minnesota State High School League and president of the Minnesota State Coaches Association. He was selected as Minnesota State Athletic Director of the Year in '79, selected as Regional Athletic Director of the Year in '80, selected as National Athletic Director of the Year in 1980, and this from 6 regional finalists. He has been inducted into the Minnesota Athletic Directors Hall of Fame and into the Minnesota State Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Ab's wife, Marjorie, is an Augie, as is their son, Steve, and their daughter, Marcia. The Alumni A Club is happy to honor you for your outstanding work in athletics. If you'd like to say a word, you want.
Thank you. Thank you, President Anderson. Yes, I do want to make a couple comments. I want to especially thank the Augsburg A Club for the honor, which this is something I really didn't expect. And while I've known about this for a while, I'm caught rather flat-footed. I'll have to say this, that I accept this honor very humbly, knowing that to be selected to these various honors, there have to be some outstanding people that worked with you down through the years. It's impossible to name them by name, but I do want to give special credit to a few people, and the first credit would have to be to my family. Years ago, back during the 30s, when I went to college, I met a young girl at Augsburg College, and 50 years ago, last summer, we celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary. She's the one that deserves most of the credit because of her patience and her understanding of the type of work I was in. It wasn't always being home at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock for supper, but her patience and understanding really were terrific. Fortunately for Marge and I, we had two super children. Steve, who's a member of your A Club and also of your Hall of Fame. And Steve, next month, will be inducted into the 25-year Coaches Club. And Marcia, our daughter, is also a graduate of Augsburg College and was an elementary teacher for a number of years. I'm not going to say anything about our 8 or 4 grandchildren. They're terrific, but you've all heard the stories about grandparents and their grandchildren. And I found out that they are true, every story you've ever heard. They're just something, they're just different. And at this point, I'd be very amiss if I didn't recognize the fact that I have 3 brothers, and I'm very proud that they're able to be with us tonight. And Claire, of course, one of my brothers, is also a member of your A Club and also a member of the Hall of Fame. Every time I come back to Augsburg, I'm reminded of the 30s. The way Augsburg used to look is the way I remember. And of course, I'll never forget Old Main and North Hall. Not very plush, but it did the job. And I'll have to say in closing that I've enjoyed my 45 years in education. They've been real good to me, and I've enjoyed the contacts that I've had with young men and young women down through the years. There have been a lot of changes, but fortunately, they've all been for the better.
C.L. Bob Miller, class of 48. Help him up. Clarence Bob Miller participated in football, basketball, and baseball at Augsburg. He majored in science and minored in physical education. In 1944, at the St. Paul YMCA, Bob started a career that led to amazing successes in volleyball. After graduation, he did YMCA work in Miami, Florida. After coaching successful YMCA teams there, he moved to San Francisco and became regional commissioner of volleyball, official chairman and director of volleyball for the United States Army. In 1960, he returned to Miami to become recreation supervisor for Dade County. Bob became a national volleyball referee and has since been honored as referee emeritus, which is the highest award for a national referee. He was chairman of awards committee and chairman of officials committee. He has refereed national championships, world championships, Pan American Games, Olympic Games, and has served on rules, officials, international relations, and championship volleyball committees. He has been awarded the U.S. VBA Pryor Award and also is recognized in the United States National Volleyball Hall of Fame. The Alumni A Club is pleased to honor you for your outstanding work and service in volleyball.
I have one question. How come you waited so long? I graduated in 1948, that's 42 years ago. You know I've been trying to give me an award for 42 years. Finally found a loophole here and I didn't retire. Those of you honor people who are on the Hall of Fame, regular Hall of Fame. This is the substitute Hall of Fame, I think. And you think maybe I didn't deserve it. have you know I received 12 letters when I was at Augsburg. 3 from my mother. We won 3 baseball and 3 basketball. We won a baseball, basketball, and a football championship. No, not football. Baseball, basketball. What's the other sport we had? We didn't have volleyball then. I see you have volleyball now, which is good. In our football team, we had a coach named Vilander. I think he sold sporting goods in the daytime and coached us at night. And he didn't win Coach of the Year that year, I don't think, because he wasn't a very good coach. One time Dr. Christensen called him in, he says, I hate to tell you this, Vilander, but we have more students registered in the football team than we have registered in school. It seemed like all the kids from around the neighborhood felt sorry for us because we didn't have enough players to practice, so they joined our team. And we had, so we didn't have enough to scrimmage, otherwise we didn't have enough players. It was, our football team only had, I think, 2 plays. If you think Unitas was good at the 2-minute drill, you should have seen Gus. We'd get in the huddle and he'd say, okay, we'll have 3 incomplete passes and a punt. We had 1 on third down, we could punt every time on first down. So we threw that out because there's no chance of getting injured. So every time we could do it the other way. One time, accidentally, we completed 3 forward passes. We were down on the 1-foot line. And the 2 spectators in the stands were going wild. They'd never seen anything like this. We get down, we line up over the ball, and it's on the 1-foot line, and the center centers the ball, and Dustin kicks it. He can't beat old habits. We did something a lot better in basketball. I sat next to Ernie so long they thought we were brothers. We're about the same age, too. I was pretty old when I was playing basketball. One time Ernie put me in, I sat there and watched the whole half, and he put me in the beginning of the second half. And I was playing right guard, and I received a tip-off, and I dribbled down and shot the basket. The wrong basket. I was watching him the whole first half, so I went down and I shot it. Their basket. But I missed it. I mean, I was a good Augsburg. I missed it. I missed the shot, and I got my rebound because everybody else was up at the other. They didn't know what was going on. When I was at Augsburg, I witnessed 2 miracles. Well, 3 if you want to consider my graduation. But 2 miracles. One was at Fort Snelling. We were playing St. Thomas in baseball for the championship. And if you've ever been to St. Thomas, you know there's a brick wall about 90 yards back from home plate. Well, not that far. That's a long way back. And then the rest is mesh, the rest of the backstop. So St. Thomas has a man on third, and there's 2 outs, and if the man scores, it's all over. So we had, I think it was Strumman, but I'm not sure. It could have been Lingden, because he just threw a bunch of junk ball and never got to play. But anyway, Strumman threw a wild pitch. And the guy's turning home from home. I'm not sure if Kelly was a catcher or not, but I think he was. The ball hit the brick wall, bounced right back to the catcher, and the man was out of it. Isn't that great? That was one of the miracles. Second miracle, we were playing St. Thomas second year. We were playing at Nicollet Park. And it was reversed this time. There was 2 outs, and we had a man on third. I was coaching third. I was coaching third. That shows how far down I went since 4 years. Anyway, I was coaching third. And our best hitter, I think, powerful Doc Strumman, was up at bat. And he hit the ball a long, long, long grounder to the pitcher, I think. Well, I sent the man home, and if the pitcher would have just rolled the ball to the catcher, my man would have been out by 15 feet. But he chose to throw it to first base. A mistake, number 1. As Doc was running to first base, he put up his arm like this. The ball hit his arm and dropped on the ground. The umpire ruled that he was legal in protecting himself. Zingo, another tournament, another championship. I thought Well, it was good coaching by Edo. I told him how to do this. I really want to thank everybody for the honor. It's an honor to play at Augsburg. It's an honor to be at Augsburg. It was an honor to play for Edo and Ernie, who were not only great coaches, but great gentlemen and good Christians, who taught character instead of just sports. It was an honor to play for all the coaches except Vilander. I really appreciate the honor, Peter. I want to thank the committee who selected me and also G-Roy for your help. Thank you very much.
Third awardee is John Workett. John's not present this evening, but I want to read this paragraph briefly so you have some added understanding of what your friends have been doing. John graduated in '49. He ran in both cross country and track to keep himself in shape for his primary interest, which was speed skating. He majored in business and was training coordinator and technical engineer for Northern States Power. John was a member of the U.S. Olympic team in '48. He participated in the international championships, world title meets, and the Olympics. He won titles in the 500-meter and 1,500-meter events while placing in the 3,000, 5,000, and 10,000-meter races. He raced against the best the Europeans had to offer and was nicknamed the Mighty Mite, as he was only 5'5" in height. The Alumni A Club is pleased to honor John for his success in international speed skating. The award will be presented to him personally, as he is unable to be with us this evening.
Thank you, Chuck. I suppose I can add a word. I grew up by Potterhorn Park, and I can remember John Workett at that time skating around. They called him the Mighty Mike. You know, his legs started right under his armpits. And he was the world champion for 3 years running in 1,500 meters. So it was a great tribute to his skating ability. I'm sorry that he's not here this evening. This evening we're inducting 5 new people into our Athletic Hall of Fame. We have 3 men and 2 women. We've had a couple of firsts around here. We've got 3 brothers I know in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if any of them are here Caspersons. I don't remember their name, reading their name. But we have the first husband and wife combination tonight, Bud and Donna Lake, and they'll all be inducted. Chuck, you want to go ahead with these honors?
The first person is Harold Erickson. Come up here, please. Class of 1950. Minneapolis athlete, Harold took part in football, hockey, baseball, and track to keep busy at Augsburg. Academically, he majored in business administration and physical education and minored in sociology. He was an exceptional athlete in football and hockey. In football, he was an excellent blocker and running back. His blocking made possible many runs by the other running backs. In those days, players played both ways, and Eric was again an outstanding tackler, and in football terms would be deemed to be hard-nosed. In hockey, he was as good as any player in the league. He was an outstanding skater, handled the puck with ease, and played hockey smart. Because of his ability, he was given the responsibility of being player coach, and he handled this very well. Eric remembers the old outdoor rink and the games there, and all the memories these bring back. But seeing the present hockey facility and also having his son Michael be a member of the championship MIAC and national NAIA championship teams gave his greatest delight. Eric has been employed as a paper salesman for most of his years since graduation in '50. Eric has served as president and head of a shrine unit and continues to be active in participating in marching in parades with the Zura Temple of the Shrine. It's really a privilege to present Eric Erickson as an inductee into the Augsburg College Athletic Hall of Fame.
Well, I'd like to thank you very, very much for those nice words. Those were beautiful words. And it's a pleasure to be here and to accept this award, and especially to see all the old teammates that I had as some that I hadn't seen for a long time. It's really a pleasure to be here and accept this award. I want to take you on a little trip to, I want to thank Augsburg, by the way, for giving me the opportunity to play the sports that I did here at Augsburg. Also, to receive an education that it has kept me going for all these years. But I'd like to take you on a little trip back, too, to 1946, when I started Augsburg. That goes back a ways, almost to what we just went through, and he stole some of the thunder that I was going to come up with, but that's all right, we'll work on it anyway. After we started Augsburg, several of us, after the war, we spent 4 years in the military service, and hadn't played any sports, collegiate athletics of any kind, for almost 5 years. So I thought we needed a coach or two here at Augsburg that would understand us, because we're a little different. You're in the service, you don't play any sports or anything. Your muscles, everything is different. So we came back, and we were very fortunate here at Augsburg to have two men. They're both here tonight, Edor Nelson and Ernie Anderson. I think they understood us. I think they had to coach us different than they had to do some of the younger fellows that were coming out of high school. But they blended us well together, and I think we did a real good job. We didn't have a carpet or an astroturf to practice on and to play on like they have out here now, and that is quite a facility, by the way. Edor's training had us running from the gym, the old armory, or Quonset hut, I guess it was called, down to what many of you know was Riverside Park. And that was not a carpet. Riverside Park had grass, but they had rocks growing out of the grass. And not only that, they had manhole covers about every 30 yards. And I think many of us thought at that time that Edor planned his plays around those manhole covers. Because it seems to me every time I was tackling somebody or blocking somebody or being blocked or being tackled, I ended up on a manhole cover. And oftentimes we didn't have enough men to scrimmage. So Edor would put those blocking dummies out there, but he'd put them right on manhole covers too. So if you had an assignment to hit it, you'd hit the blocker dummy, and you'd still land on a manhole cover. But we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of character, as he was saying. I think the boys toughened up in a hurry. You had to. We played a lot of good games. And I think any team that we played knew that they were in a very high, tough, competitive football game. And whether we won or lost didn't make any difference. They knew they were in a tough game, and the scores were, I think, always low. Well, after the football season in 1946, many of us wanted to play hockey. We had played in high school, competitively in high school, but there again, it's been a few years, but Edor got us in shape for that too, I think. So we thought, well, we'll go check and see if they had any hockey. Well, they didn't have any hockey in 1946, and they hadn't had any hockey, I believe, since 1920-some, when they had the famous Hanson brothers. I think Oscar is here tonight. And they had quite a hockey team then. And then they went on to Olympic fame, and then on to the old professional hockey team of the Minneapolis Millers, a team that I followed one of my high school years. In fact, I used to go down there and shovel and sweep in between periods, just so I could get in the game free. And they had good hockey in those days. Well, anyway, we approached Ernie in 1946 to see if we could get a hockey team. And of course, his first answer was, we don't have any money for hockey, and it was not budgeted in. Well, I guess we understood that. But we asked him if we could get into the schedule, at least. So we could play down the riverside and play our games and practice there. And we thought that would be all right. So that's what we did. And we went and got some old football pants. We cut those down. and got some old football jerseys. And that was the start of our kind of a makeshift team, but we played good hockey, and I think we played very good hockey in those days. And I think so good that Ernie next year said we're budgeted in on hockey. We were budgeted in pretty good because he bought us boards for the hockey rink. We got new uniforms, we got sticks, and not everything we wanted, but we got a lot. All we had to do was help put up the rink, shovel it, stay up all night and flood it, and that would be our hockey rink. In fact, the first few games that we played, we even shoveled it and swept it between periods, as I remember, until we got a little following. Art would know about that. He was our goalie at that time. And after we got a little following, we talked some of them into shoveling it and doing that for us. So I'm proud to have been here at the start of the building hockey again here at Augsburg after 46, helped starting it, I should say. And I'm also very proud that my son Mike decided to go to school here and to play on 4 MIAC championships and 2 national championship teams. So I guess you can see we're a hockey Augsburg family, and I'm proud to be an Augie, and I thank you very, very much for this honor.
In 1952, Donna Wang Lee graduated from Augsburg with a major in physical education and a minor in home economics. An athlete at heart, Donna participated in volleyball, basketball, and cheerleading throughout her collegiate career. But her true love was for a sport offered outside regular campus activities, that is, speed skating. At the Minnesota Championships, Donna set a race record that stood for 13 years in the 800-yard event. Those skating talents could not be bound by state-bound borders. Donna excelled in the rink and went on to compete in the national, North American, and Canadian championships. It is no wonder she has already been inducted into her Edison High School Hall of Fame. Donna served her community as a teacher in Minnetonka, Waconia, Chaska, and Mound. She has been active on the church council and in the Friendship Force, an organization working towards making friends with people in foreign countries. And she has found time to skate with the Twin Cities Longblade Club. Currently, Donna is a floral designer and lives in Excelsior with her husband, Roger, also an Augie grad and Hall of Famer. Together they had 4 children, David, Marna, who's deceased, Tanya, and Tressa. Tonight we recognize the athletic skills of a woman whose success spanned a continent in an era before organized collegiate programs. It is an honor to include Donna Wang Leek in Augsburg's Athletic Hall of Fame.
I've been coming to this dinner here for many a year, and I always enjoyed it because you can sit here and listen to everybody. Never ever thought of thinking about a woman being admitted to this. Women were shut out quite a bit in my era. I was glad to see last year that they did bring the ladies into it. I think the gals who are in physical education and sports right now are really fortunate. They have many advantages that we didn't have. We had a great time playing parkour, volleyball, and basketball was great. And you know, in those days of basketball, you had 3 guards on one end, 3 forwards on the other end, and you couldn't go by the middle line. So it's different now when they play boys and girls, basically, I guess. In speed skating, like he said, we went up to the national and the North American and the Canadian championships. But then it stopped because they didn't allow women into the Olympics. But I guess it was fun. I really can't boast of having any championship team. Playing on any championship team. I guess I chose to stay home with our 4 children. And I did do substitute work. However, you know, my certificate says K through 12. The first year, after Bud and I were married, we went on to New Ulm. I wanted to teach, but there was nothing open. So I took this job out of District 62 in St. George, and I had grades 1 through 7, all at once in a one-room schoolhouse, and I had 9 students. And we had physical education. We went out every noon and played baseball, and I had to be for softball. I was the 10th person, so we had 5 on each side. So that was kind of fun. We have 2 of our children here with us tonight. David, our oldest, and his wife, Chris, and Teresa. Our youngest one was graduated from Augsburg in '87, and her husband, Danny, from our children. Oh, and then we have another daughter who's out in Montana. From these 3 children, now we have 5 grandchildren. Bud and I are still active. We skate once or sometimes twice a week. We have long legs. Bud has changed from his hockey skates to long legs. And we, how can I say this at Augsburg? We never said the word dance at Augsburg. In fact, can I tell them that we had, you know, you had to major, when you majored in fine ed, you had to have some kind of a dance class. Our class was called Fundamental Movement. And the classes were never together. I mean, I danced with Maria Pollard and Bev Brett, and the girls, the ones who were going to be the fellows were pinning, so you could tell the difference. Well, anyway, Bud and I are fundamentally moving on long legs, and it's really been a lot of fun. We, like I say, go once, maybe sometimes twice a week. We also play golf 3 to 4 times a week. In the wintertime, we switch over to cross-country skiing, and we just recently have taken up downhill skiing. Most of these people, and I suppose you say, well, this is an old lady doing this. Well, to say how old I am, I want to tell you, I was cleaning some things out last week, and I came across my receipt from Augsburg. I took 15 credits one year. I think this was when I was a senior. And the cost on this was a whopping $158. The next year, or next semester, I took 16 credits, and it went up to 169. Same as for today. I do want to say that I really appreciate this honor. I feel very humble in getting this because I've just had so much fun in my sports, and if there's anything I want to tell anybody, it's sports and being active is the best thing that could ever happen to you. Thank you.
You graduated in 52. I graduated in 51 from another school. We had the same problem with dancing at that place. It reminds me of an old story. Some of you may have heard. It's from that old Lutheran context. There was a person, I think his name was Oscar Hansen, way back when, worked at Concordia College, and he used to write tracts all the time, you know, about this and this, and smoking and drinking and dancing and so on. And I heard someone do a takeoff on one of the tracts that he had written. And the question was, why don't Norwegians make love in the nude? And the answer is because it might lead to dancing. All right, Richard Pork Chops Thompson. He had his picture taken downstairs. I heard him commenting on they should be paid by the pound or Class of 61, another Minneapolis native that chose Augsburg partly because he felt he could participate in athletics at this school. He participated in football, basketball, and golf. Dick majored in mathematics and physical education. Dick is not in uniform in one of the football pictures during his career, and many people thought he was too small to participate in that sport, but he did. He was the snapper on punts and points after touchdowns, and this is something for which not everyone has ability and qualifications. It's also something that some people really want nothing, they don't want to do it at all. In basketball, people talk about pure shooters. In later days, Shelly Anderson was known as a pure shooter. Many older alums would put pork chops as the pure shooter in the early 60s. His ability to drive, shoot, and ball handle made him an all-conference selection for 3 years. He was also honored as an All-Lutheran All-American. Augsburg gave him several insights, including loyalty and a commitment to excellence, which have been valuable in his teaching and coaching over 29 years. He has coached at Minneapolis Lutheran, North High School, Washburn, and Golden Valley Lutheran College, where he had 3 state tournament teams. His record includes 269 wins against 59 losses. According to his own statement, his most meaningful moment in life was the loss of my good friend and teammate, Richard Green. He is athletic director of Southwest High School. He is co-owner and founder of Mobile Sports Incorporated athletic camps. He is also a pilot and housing contractor. Without question, Dick Thompson is a worthy candidate for induction to the Augsburg College Athletic Hall of Fame.
Well, this is quite an honor. I didn't think that I would probably ever see this moment, but I'm sure appreciative of the committee and everybody associated with Augsburg. I had this bright idea about 6 weeks ago that I'd go on a diet and get back down the playing weight, and then one night I was laying there and my stomach was growling, and I decided that I was coming to a banquet, not going to play one-on-one. So my path to Augsburg really goes back to Howie Pearson. I met Howie Pearson down in Elliott Park. I only grew up less than a mile from here. I never heard of the place. And Howie was working as a park instructor down at Elliott Park, and we played our basketball down there, and he talked about Augsburg College, and I was going to vocational at the time, and then Richard Green was playing at vocational, and he talked to me about going to Augsburg College, and the best description they had was it was over by the University of Minnesota. So that was my path to Augsburg College, and it was certainly a good one. There were no scholarships in those days for high school basketball players. Minneapolis Public Schools was virtually one of the only conferences around. Richfield High School, for example, one of my friends that I have here tonight, we scrimmaged against each other out in a farm field out just south of the high school out there. Some of you may wonder why my dad would name me Pork Chop, but he didn't do it. My name is Dick, Richard, and Pork Chop, I was given that when I was a senior in high school. The clear blue sky, one of my teammates yelled out to the reporter as he was walking out of the gym after I'd had a good basketball game, "Don't forget this kid's name is Pork Chop." And the next day in the paper it said, "Pork Chops pumps them in for the Bulls." And from that day on, I was Pork Chop. And to this day, a lot of people only know me as Pork Chop. They didn't even know I had a name tag. Coming into Augsburg was quite an experience. Obviously, going to vocational, I was there to learn how to be an aircraft mechanic. I was real impressed with the airplanes when I visited vocational, and that's why I decided to become an aircraft mechanic. And after getting my hands dirty and going through the mechanics, I decided that there had to be a better life than that. And I'm not so sure now that probably wouldn't have been a pretty good one. But from that point on, coming over to Augsburg was quite an experience because I had really no preparation for college. It was a whole new experience, and the teachers here at Augsburg were so helpful. I wouldn't be here today without their help. I know Ann Pedersen, my English teacher, I could just imagine her reaction the first time she read my first theme. I imagine she laughed all night long. But with her help and Mimi Kingsley and of course my coaches, Ernie and Edor and Howie and all the other people associated with Augsburg, I was able to make it and able to coach. And I certainly wouldn't trade that for anything. It's been 29 years. This is my 30th year, my last year of teaching in Minneapolis Public Schools, and it's been an enjoyable experience. Thank you very much.
Jim Robot, class 63.
Another Twin City athlete who participated in 4 sports, as many athletes did back in the 60s. Jim played football, basketball, baseball, and track. After taking part in 4 sports, he settled on football and baseball. In football, he was an excellent running back, and his quickness and speed set up many scoring opportunities. As the yearbook states, quote, Robach set up 3 touchdowns against the Johnnies, close quote. And in fact, that year, the Augies defeated River Falls, St. John's, St. Thomas, Gustavus, and Hamlin. Watching Jim return kickoffs was exciting, and Praed Stadium fans still remember some of those runs. In baseball, the Augies won 2 championships while he played. He was captain of the team and an outstanding outfielder and hitter. He majored in physical education and has served in teaching and coaching. Jim says his coaches at Augsburg helped to establish his philosophy of life, and his fellow students have provided him with a circle of lifetime friends. He also met his wife, Pat Steenson, at Augsburg. His listing of accomplishments is impossibly long for this time of the evening, so I'll read only a few. 28 years as a teacher-coach in Anoka-Hennepin school system. He played pro baseball in the Minnesota Twins organization. He has coached football, basketball, baseball, and track. He was assistant football coach of the 1963 mythical state champions. I have to ask G. Wright what a mythical champion is. Offensive coordinator of Coon Rapids, 1983 Class AA football champs, and 7 conference championships there. Assistant basketball coach in 1982, Coon Rapids State AA runner-up. Assistant baseball coach of the 1980 State AA champions. First recipient of the Butch Nash Award for Outstanding Assistant Coach. First assistant to coach in the Minnesota High School All-Star football team. A department head in physical education for 20 years. We recognize his dedication to teaching, coaching, and service. It is a privilege to present Jim Robach as an inductee into the Augsburg College Athletic Hall of Fame.
It's really a cliche to say that you're not deserving an award like this, but you know, I'm deeply honored to receive this award and very appreciative for it. But in honesty, of course, Augsburg really gave me far more than I could possibly ever give back to Augsburg. It provided me with just, if you really look at it, the 4 years or so of your education. It provided me a lifetime occupation, and it provided me an opportunity to continue to play sports, which I really loved at all times. And those are just the things that really come right out at you. But it also, as it said in the resume, it provided me the best part, the best thing ever happened to me as I met my wife here. And as I said, nothing could be finer than to have met my wife at Augsburg, and we have a family of 4, and it's really been a fun time. Also, beside that, the circle of friends that I've met and associated with Augsburg, and the times where we have stayed together, and it's really been some friends that have, in the 28 years since I've been out of college, we stayed very close to one another. The resume of the old football games has become, you know, the games have become more strategic, and you remember every play, and
You remember the big games against St. John's where when we did beat them, they went on, I think, to win like 33 in a row right after we had got done beating them. And we're very proud of the fact that we did have a winning football team here at Augsburg, and of course it can be done. And the baseball championships, and you really remember the practice sessions and the rides to and from the games where you go from when you were a freshman. I remember in basketball, Bruce Gilseth and myself and the statistician Eagle Cronset had a ride with Ernie to all the games where all the other players got to ride with the teammates. And Ernie was fun and it was fine, but you progressed from there to your sophomore, junior, and senior years, and things would change. And then in baseball, the freshmen again, they rode with Edor, and all the other players rode with the rest of the team. But those are some things that you just remember, and the good times that you have with them. And I just say, you remember the little things and the times where we used to hold meetings. And it was during chapel time sometimes, but that's Smiley's Point, where there was a number of people that had got together, and we would go from discussing one thing to another. And if ever there was a time where you would maybe want to have some gathering, you'd get to a point where maybe, all right, we'd put the pressure on somebody, and you would arrange to have a party of some sort or another, and all the people at Augsburg would get together. And I think these are the times that you come back and you remember, not so much about the difficult times, but really the fun times that you have here at Augsburg when I was attending. And then the philosophy of life that you really acquire here at Augsburg from the teachers, especially knowing Edor and Ernie and Holly and Ed. I know in the past 28 years of my dealing with young people, I always look back at maybe how they would do things, or what they did, how they talked to people, how they communicated with people, and I think those are the things that more so than just the grades and the classes that you take, but the people here that you meet at Augsburg, it's really appreciated, and I really appreciate this award. Thank you.
Sure. Carol Nelson, please. Class of 1970. Cheryl Nelson King graduated from Augsburg in 1970 with a double major in health and physical education. During her undergraduate years, Cheryl was a standout athlete in every sport in which she participated, including basketball, gymnastics, volleyball, golf, and badminton. After college, she continued playing tennis competitively and was a sectional qualifier for 7 straight years and a national qualifier for Michelob and Volvo Amateur Tennis Championships in 1982 and 1986. Her premier individual performance as an athlete was only overshadowed by her high school coaching record. Cheryl's Anoka tennis team claimed 4 conference championships and advanced to the state tournament in 1983. 8 times her track and field team finished first in the conference and went on to win the state title in 1981 and 82. In fact, in 1982, Cheryl was honored as the Minnesota Track and Field Coach of the Year. Her obvious dedication to teaching our youth extended beyond her junior high gym classes. From 1985 to 89, Cheryl worked in Maple Grove's Park and Recreation Program and taught Sunday school in the local church. She also co-authored a physical activity book called Favorite Games and Relays, published this past spring, and it was a presenter at the National Physical Education Conference on Drills and Stroke Production in June of '89. Cheryl lives in Maple Grove with her Augie husband Richard and 2 children, Kyle and Jason. Join me in honoring an Augsburg alumni athlete and role model we can all truly be proud of inducting into the Hall of Fame, Cheryl Nelson King.
I'm the youngest and I need notes. I feel a lot more comfortable if I were in a locker room giving a pep talk right now. When I was preparing for this, 100 great memories from Augsburg went through my mind, And I look out and see some of my college roommates and Joyce and Judy over there. 100 more have gone through my mind. I can remember once in Joyce's self-testing class, which was basically gymnastics. I don't know how she did this, but she got a group of us. We went downtown Minneapolis into Dayton and performed our rhythmic ball routine to downtown by Petula Clark. And the scary part was no one in the group was a gymnast. We could catch and throw balls, but we did not have any grace or elegance. But those are special times that you remember. It's really a great honor for me to be inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame, especially knowing the past recipients from the last year's women, and two very special people to me, my Uncle Igor and my dad Stan. Just to be in that same class, just to be considered in that same class, is really a highlight for me. There's numerous people that really make this award possible. And over the 20 years that I've coached, I've had outstanding athletes. And without the outstanding athletes, you can't win championships. In fact, I've got one of my outstanding athletes here, Joe Robeck. He was a tennis player for me. And I remember watching Jim down at Freight Stadium. I was probably in kindergarten, though, when he was playing there. Every Saturday, we pack up the family and go down and watch the Augsburg football team. Also, there's been several role models from Augsburg. And again, I have to look at Joyce and Judy. Coming here and having them as physical education instructors, they really were a big influence on my life. In high school and college, we didn't have interscholastic sports when I was growing up. And I was very lucky that my mother and father got me involved in, a variety of sports. Seems like anything I wanted to do, I'd say, gee, Dad, I'd like to try skiing this year. Okay, let's go up to Get Terrace and I'll get you boots and skis. And he just, went overboard. And with my mother and father, they've had a lot of patience, and their love and their caring for our whole family has really been a great example for me. There's some very special people that I would like to recognize that have come to share this evening with me. And that's my mother-in-law, Helene Hollick, and my aunt and uncle, Dorothy and Edor. Dorothy would always, I'd come home and Dorothy would say, well, what'd you do today, Cheryl? And I'd say, well, I played a couple hours of volleyball, and then I played a couple hours of basketball, and then I played an hour of badminton. And she'd just, Cheryl. My brother Dave, who is the head football coach at Blaine, and his wife Maureen, and my mom and dad, my two sons, Kyle and Jason. The patience is wearing over there. And, of course, my husband, Richard, and he's the best thing that I ever got out of Augsburg. He's very patient with me and very understanding. And my college roommates that are here, and my very best friends here in Dallas Hagen. It really means a lot when your friends and, former college roommates come and share the evening with you. I would like to thank the committee for selecting me, and it really is a great honor that I can be inducted into this Women's Hall of Fame. Well, that concludes my pep talk, so go get 'em, Augies.
Couldn't help but have great memories as they talk. Eric talking about the hockey, shoveling the rink, and all the things that we did, and Bud and the guys we played with. Bobby Johnson played for us, who was the Wisconsin coach and went on to the Olympic fame. And he played 2 years for us, 2 for North Dakota, and 2 for the U, so they didn't keep track of him. So he could get away with it. And Pork Chops, Dick Thompson's comment about Ann Peterson. When I got out of the service and started to come to Augsburg, my mother says, Arthur, she says, I was going to go to the U. I injured my arm in the service and I couldn't play sports, and I was going to go to the U to be an engineer. And mother says, Arthur, she says, you're going to go to Augsburg and you're going to help your wrote a video to get through school because he needs a lot of help. And the first year he needed a lot of help, but he did very well. Unfortunately, he's up hunting in Canada this weekend, otherwise he would be here. But I can remember going into I hardly knew a subject from a verb, and I kid you not, I was that bad. But I got into Annie Peterson's class in English. I had to go 5 days a week. And you know, she made you feel so good. And you know, even though I was so dumb. I can remember writing, we had to write about some experience that we had, and I remember it was a real long word that I had written and I spelled it correctly. And she just praised me about it. You know, she made me feel so good. And from that point on, it really helped my learning, and all the teachers at that one. You know, we are very privileged to have these teachers who give so much of themselves, so we're often fortunate that there's really heartwarming when you hear these responses. And I'm sure all of you guys have gone through it, experienced some of the same things. Closing remarks. You know, our Letterman's Club got started in 1937. That's 53 years ago. Tomorrow morning, there's going to be a breakfast for the guys who first got the A Club started. I think there's about 50 of them for breakfast. I think it's the 37 to 42 class. At that time, our A Club was was a student activity. It's where the guys helped one another out to do different things. Sure, it was social at that time. And I can remember when I was at Augsburg College in the A Club, we would go down to the Armory, we ran the concession stands. Of course, we had to put up the hockey ring, shovel snow, do things like that. We had banquets to raise money. We even had dates. We'd go on wiener roasts. I wonder if kids, do they go on wiener roasts anymore? I don't know. Maybe we're not as innocent today as we were at those times. But it was quite a highlight. It was a good thing. But now our club has evolved into an alumni organization. We have almost 1,300 members scattered throughout the country. We have 800 in the metro area, 7-county metro area. And we get together every other month. We have lunch, and usually at that time we listen to the coaches. They tell us some of their stories, things that we can look forward to, and it's a lot of fun. We also get together we try to get them together for a football game, a basketball game, a hockey to help on our attendance. Besides these, primarily a social group, we do, of course, have a goal, and that's to try to do everything we can to help Augsburg athletics. That's our number one goal. And you know, we had the last big project that we took on was field space. That was a big chunk. I think we've been paying for that for about 6 years, and Jay Roy tells me that the football field space will be paid off completely by the end of the year. So my hat's off to every one of you, the job that you do. You know, do you realize there's absolutely no group, no club in this college that has made as big a contribution as has the A Club. I'm not quite sure what the money is, but I think it must be close to $2 million that you guys have all contributed. You've done just a fantastic, super job. You know, since I've been your president now of the A Club, I'm in my 4th year, and I really sense some good things happening. I really do. I can really see it different from when I first got started. And I think the number one thing, I really see a change in the administration. I absolutely believe we've got an administration behind us who is really concerned about improving all of our athletic programs and the things that we do in athletics. We've had some tremendous championship teams around here. We want to keep growing and growing. You know, one of the evidences that we have of it is that the Board of Regents, when they started their 21st Century Fund, they earmarked $3 million for the renovation of Sinai Hall. And there's been a committee formed on that to see the best way to do that. And I think on that board, as I understand, we haven't had a real formal meeting yet, there are some students on it, and there's also some parents, as I understand. But we've been kicking around some of the things that we'd like to see at Sinai, some of the guys who are at least in the athletic end of it. And we'd like to see all the athletic offices upstairs, so when people come in, we can have a good impression on people. It's really important to do that. We know we've got to upgrade our locker rooms. We absolutely got to have a state-of-the-art weight room and exercise room, not only for the athletes, but for the student body. It's extremely important. And I've got a particular hot button that I really want to pick. You know, the Hall of Fame room is a great room. There's only one problem. Nobody sees it except the Hall of Fame people. So when we do Cy Melby, I'd like to see us have a whole wall of Hall of Fame, so that when people walk into that Cy Melby for a basketball game, or wrestling meets or anything, they're going to see all the pictures up there of our Hall of Famers. We're proud of everybody in the Hall of Fame, and we should let everybody know about it. I think it's very important that we do this, so when a guy comes in with his son and says, gee, did he go to Augsburg, or that gal, did they go to Augsburg? It helps us sell it. And you know another thing? We got storerooms full of trophies, doggone it, and we should have every spare space filled up with trophies. I just think that we hide our candle under a basket too many times. I think there's things that we got to do. We got to be more proud. I think we got to brag a little bit more of some of the accomplishments that we've had, because we've had some great past. Maybe it's not Lutheran or Scandinavian, I don't want to do it, but nevertheless, I think it's something that we can do. I don't think the Lord will get mad at us if we boast in some of the things that we've accomplished, so we're very proud. In addition to that, you know, last year, maybe it was in the spring of the year, they purchased all of the homes east of the football field. I think we own them all over there except maybe just one home. And the plans are out there in the future for a field house. That field house, we have indoor tennis courts, track facilities, batting cages and things like that that you put in a field house. So that whole quadrant over there from Cy Melby to the football field, east of that area would be a whole quadrant for our athletic programs. We don't know when that's going to happen, but you know, you can never tell. Maybe in August you might win the $30 million lottery. Those are things that can happen, but it is exciting. You know, this evening we're all here to honor all of our Hall of Fame people, and we have a right to do so. Our new inductees, we're very, very proud of them. But I think we're also here because we care about Augsburg. You know, and I think part of that caring process is a responsibility to be a good ambassador for Augsburg. Every one of us in our daily life meet young men and women who would be right for Augsburg. We meet them in our families, our communities, our churches, schools. And let's pitch Augsburg. You know, there's a lot of publications out that saying, hey, Augsburg is a good buy. It's a good place to send a son or a daughter, and we all know that. So it's important that we pitch it. And particularly, you know what? If they got athletic talent, golly, we want to know about them. We need that. Recruiting is a big name of the game. Another thing each one of us that can do a lot better job, I think, is in the area of supporting our athletic teams with their attendance. Yeah, we're struggling in a couple sports right now, but we're working. I think everybody has got an idea and a plan so we can keep bettering our program. So in my closing, my challenge to all of us is to be that better ambassador, to help make things happen. If we do that, we're going to help to ensure the future of Augsburg Athletics and Augsburg College. Thank you very much for coming, and drive safely. Have a good trip home.